Welcome to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Every Wednesday, Mark and Kim, along with their special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Mark and Kim will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience, and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Mark and Kim are tested, certified, and professional spiritual mediums, metaphysical teachers, healers, and spiritual advisors with their own individual spiritual practices in Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles, California. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are at in the world listening to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. I welcome you to our inaugural show. This is our very first show over here on OMTimes Radio. We are very excited. I always like to say that there's one world, 7.1 billion people on that world, but there's only one you. And I'd just like to welcome you to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. I'm your host, Mark Lanehart. And I just, again, want to thank you. I'm so excited. The energy is just a little bit overwhelming. I'm just so excited to be back on the airwaves and this new show. And I just feel like I should have a glass of champagne. And in order to do that, I need somebody to toast with. And with that, I'm going to invite my co-host and our guest today, Kim Falcon. Kim, are you there?
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome, inspired listeners. I am here, Mark. I am alive and happy and excited. I am so excited to be a part of this community, to get to know our listeners, and to have a great show.
Yeah, the show, it's been kind of a fun, few months trying to get the show up and running and all the work that goes into getting the show. But I'm so inspired by what we've been able to do and the help that we've had along the way and the messages that we're going to be delivering over the next, however many years we're going to be doing this. But every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. Kim and I are actually on the West Coast. She's down in Los Angeles, California, and I'm up in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle, Washington. So we're going to be on the 12 p.m. Pacific time. But if you're listening in on the East Coast, that is 3 p.m. Eastern time. And for my colleagues that are up in Canada, you're able to access the show live or the podcast that we'll have afterwards. And for my friends and colleagues that might be listening over in England, London, it's about 8 o'clock your time. And I know one of you said that you'd be listening, so I just want to give a shout out to those that are listening to the show, and welcome to Inspired Living. So, welcome. Kim, you're going to be the first guest. We thought it would be it'd be important to talk about who Kim and I are, the work that we're doing, how we got to Inspired Living Radio Show, and how we got to our spiritual practices and the work that we do. So today's show is really going to be about the experiences that have led us to our spiritual path. Now, for upcoming shows, we will be taking your questions live over on our social media pages, and we do have a few pages that we'll be going over the next hour here, talking about how you can interact with us live on those social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Google+. And eventually we're going to have a call-in line to where we can take the calls live with our guests. So, Kim, let's talk about the show and talk about you and what's going on with you.
Yes, I'd love to do that, Mark. Oh, so much is going on over here. As you said, just leading up to the preparation of the show, really what we want it to be, a place that our listeners can come to every week with us to learn, to be inspired, and really to learn new ways of thinking. I think the underlying theme is how to live a happy life, and that's all anybody wants. Whether you have $1 in the bank account or $1 million, everybody just wants to be happy. And so that, I think, is the theme of what we want this show to be about. So whether it's through inspiration, creativity, healing, well-being, all kinds of topics that we're going to look to discuss and talk through, and the expert guests that we're going to have on that are just going to share so much of their wisdom and knowledge with us to help us do that. I am extremely excited about what we're going to build together as a community, the community that we're going to build together.
Mm-hmm. You know, and before we started the show, when we started building this show, we were actually on another radio station on iHeart doing another show. And when we decided to move over to OMTimes Radio, we just felt like inspired living and a show that's based on your spiritual journey just felt right, didn't it? It just felt like it was the right place to be, like we'd finally found our home of where we wanted to have our own radio show.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything kind of came right into alignment. And that's how you know when you're on the right path, right? Is when everything kind of unfolds nicely with ease, and you can feel the support of the universe helping you bring in your desired outcome, which is where we are today. And yes, OMTimes Radio did feel like the right place for us, especially given a lot of the humanitarian work that their sister company does. So everything just kind of came right into being for us. And yes, I think you're right, Mark. It's all about raising consciousness, elevating our thoughts so that we can live a more purposeful and meaningful life.
Well, and I'm just so excited, too, because we're going to be talking a whole range of topics, you know, from everything from discussions on higher consciousness, spirituality, what is spirituality, you know, how that intertwines with religion. We're going to be talking about metaphysics, everything that falls outside of our five senses. So, you know, anytime we talk about anything outside the five senses, then it becomes kind of, ooh, that's kind of out there, or some would call it woo-woo, or, you know, and we're going to be talking about this at a very level of education with science and knowledge, just, you know, to help people understand that they do have gifts and abilities that are outside of their five senses that allow you to tap into a lot of what is unseen in the world, which would be the field of metaphysics. So we're going to be talking about metaphysics and how metaphysics and our senses and our abilities, interact with the human and social experience of our lives. So I'm very excited because I'm excited to learn too. I always use the saying, once growth stops, decay begins. And I think through this show with our guests, and we have some pretty great guests coming up, don't we, Kim?
We do. We're going to be talking a little bit about our first guest later in the show, but I think you're going to be really, really happy to be a part of this community as we are.
And just the learning. I'm just excited to learn and all the things that we're going to be, you know, going over in the subjects. So, we decided today that Kim would actually be our first guest. Next week, Kim will be interviewing me and the work that I do. And then the following week, we're going to have on our first official guest. And Kim, do you want to announce who that's going to be?
Well, sure, certainly. Our first official guest is going to be Panache Desai, who is a contemporary thought leader in the spiritual arena. Many of you may have seen him already on Super Soul Sunday with Oprah. But he does a lot of great work out there, also a lot of work with Deepak Chopra. And he is just an inspirational thought leader who's out there today sharing very important messages. So he also is the author, too, of a book that's called Discovering Your Soul Signature. So we're going to be talking about what that means in the coming weeks with him, along with some other important topics that he wants to cover too that relate to, he's going to be sharing with us practical tools that people can use when they're moving through challenging times in their lives. And we can all use that. I mean, because life is going to have challenges, but if we're equipped with a tool set to make it through those times, then life becomes easier, and that's what we want to strive for, right? So he'll be talking about that, how to tap into your infinite potential, and how do all of these concepts and principles apply to our daily lives. So we're really, really excited about having him on our show. And I think previously, Mark, the show that we did together had a heavy focus on providing psychic guidance on air. And while that's definitely going to be incorporated in some of our shows, we're going to be bringing on, experts in the way of angelic communication and mediums that are going to help us connect to the other side, because metaphysics is a very important element of our show. We're going to be touching on a variety of things, as you mentioned. So whether it be science or conscious business practices or how to, food and spirituality, all different elements of life.
Yes, travel, food, medicine, humanitarian efforts, technology. Isn't that one impacting all of our lives? You can relate to that, right?
Yes, it is on a daily basis.
But, that's the acronym that I love to use for life. And if you break that down, it's learn it from experiences. And so I'm excited to see what, Panache has to say for some of those tools, because I've only ever seen him or heard him on radio or at conferences. So you might have to do all the talking. I might be a little bit of stumbling over my words because I'll be so excited to interview him, and just blessed that he's, agreed to come on our show and be a part of Inspired Living. And yeah, I'm just so excited for the topics that we're going to be going over and the subjects that we're going to dive into. And so, we have a break coming up here real quick, and it's a few minutes of the break. And when we come back from the break, we're going to get into the work Kim is doing down in California with her practice Love First, and kind of how Kim and I met, how this all kind of came together, because it really, like does attract like. And there are, a lot of, what society would call synchronicities and coincidences, where universe or spirit will open up the doors for us to meet the right people and lay out the experiences that'll put us on our spiritual path. So when we come back from break, we're going to be talking, going over Kim's bio, Love First, and just having a little bit of fun talking about, how you got here.
It's really about our life experiences, Mark, and how they shape us, and everything serves a purpose. So we will be talking about that when we come back.
And I love the whistling that we have going on. So we're going to cut to break. We'll be back in a few. Thanks for listening to Inspired Living.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
And welcome back, inspired listeners. Thank you for joining us here today on Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Hope you're enjoying the show so far as much as we are. Just want to let you all know how you can interact with us during the show. We are anticipating having a call-in line in the coming weeks where you'll actually be able to call in live. But until then, we would love for you to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also Google+. And we'll be taking your questions on Facebook and Twitter if you've got questions for us or for our guests until we have that call-in line. So thank you for joining us here today. And you can reach us at Inspired for Us on Twitter. All right.
And Kim, that's the Inspired for Us, the number 4. So Inspired, the number 4, us. For the Twitter account, the Instagram account, and then just Inspired Living Radio for Facebook and Google Plus community. So we'd love to have you join all of our social media pages because that's how we're going to be interacting with our listening audience.
And we also want to encourage you, too, if there are guests that you would like for us to have on the show, somebody that you're interested in learning from or hearing from, please let us know. We welcome all comments, suggestions, questions. Send that through. We've already had one request come through on having a guest on that will talk to us about sound healing. So we'll be doing that in the coming weeks as well, based on a request. So we welcome those, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome that we were already getting requests, and we hadn't even launched the show yet. So. And it all, we talked about just divine timing and doors opening up and like attracts like. And, with that, with the healing vibrations and the energy of healing, I'm going to be at an expo on Saturday. And believe it or not, there's a booth right across from me, and I'm going to be talking to them about being on the show and actually jumping up on the table and getting a little bit of sound healing myself, because we could all use a little bit of healing from time to time, right?
Oh, absolutely. And our intention is to bring through healing on the show every week, right, Mark?
That's right. So if you do have any questions, you want to post them on our Facebook page at Inspired Living Radio. We'll be monitoring that for the next half hour or so, and hopefully get to your questions if we can. But today I want to talk about our special guest and my co-host, Kimberly Thalkin, and the work she's doing with Love First, and how she got to create the spiritual practice of Love First, and the experiences, Kim, that really, opened up that spiritual path to want to have you do this work, because sometimes this work is not easy work to do. I remember when I first started down this path, I was like, heck no, I do not want to be a spiritual medium. I don't want to do psychic work. That is for other people. But the more that I fought against it, the more the doors just, synchronicities and coincidences and everything just kept lining up. And finally, it took me, after about 2 years of struggle, I finally embraced it. And now I can't see myself doing anything different than the full-time work of spiritual practice, being in service to others, helping others, inspiring others, healing others, and just working with Spirit and what Spirit would have us do, or the universe, or what you would call your God, whatever that is for you. So Kim, you are a tested and certified international psychic medium, a master instructor in energy healing, and that's both Reiki and integrated energy therapy. So I'll have you talk about that a little bit. A hypnotherapist, which I've always found fascinating work. In fact, there's a series I've been watching on TV called Proof, and there's a hypnotherapist in there that talks about near-death experiences and past life regressions, and that work is just, I think it's very, very interesting. I hope we can get somebody on the show that could talk more in depth about NDEs and hypnotherapy. And you're also a life coach. You're a contributing author to the 365 Days of Angel Prayers, and that can be found on Amazon. And then, of course, you're my lovely co-host on Inspired Living here on OMTimes Radio. So how did Love First, Kim, come to fruition? Take us through your spiritual path and what started you down that path.
Wow, Mark, there's so many things that you just said that I wanted to comment on. I don't even know where to begin, but I'll start with the exact question that you asked me and how I got to where I am today. And the answer, the one-word answer, is love. Although it was a heartbreak love that got me to where I am today. Yeah, I went through a very difficult, heartbreaking breakup in my 20s, and I couldn't think straight. I didn't know how to make sense of what had happened. I thought that this was the person that I was going to be with. And I needed to understand things at a much deeper level than just at face value. I just couldn't accept that we could just break up. There had to be a greater understanding or reason behind what had happened. Mm-hmm. And I was watching the Lisa Gibbons show, and there was a psychic on Lisa Gibbons giving readings to the audience. I didn't think twice about going to a psychic previously, but she inspired me to set a session with her. And she helped me understand, kind of give me a behind the scenes look at what happened to make greater sense of the experience that I'd gone through. Mm-hmm. So it was from that and that first psychic session that I had where I started working with different psychics to understand and bring meaning into some of the other experiences I was, having throughout life. And that's what got me interested in it. And I thought, my goodness. And that's also, I'll say, what strengthened my connection to God, because boy, did I need I needed comfort and love. And that's where I turned to get it in the absence of what I'd gone through in this breakup. But it was through those experiences that I thought to myself, my goodness, I would so love to be able to help other people bring in understanding in the same way that the readings that I had from my, and the messages that came through from my guidance helped me understand my own life experiences. Because life has so much more meaning, I think, when you understand things at a deeper level. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why things are happening around you. And I started spending time in meditation, and, it started out with just a couple minutes a day, and a couple minutes turned into an hour very quickly. I was sitting in meditation, and just kind of the outpouring of love that comes through when you're in meditation is so profound. It's something that you would have never felt before. And so I didn't want to leave that space. I felt so happy, so elated, really elated is what it was. And that's how my intuitive abilities and mediumship abilities unfolded. I started hearing my guidance talk to me, and I started understanding why things were happening to the people around me. I started picking up on messages from departed loved ones, and there I went on my merry way down my spiritual path. But I will say, I started out on a more traditional path. I went to college and graduate school, and had no thought whatsoever that I was going to be, a psychic medium. I got my master's in business. I was thinking business. This is where I'm going to be. And I was working in the entertainment industry in sales and licensing. So when you're in business school, you're not thinking, oh, I'm going to, be a spiritual practitioner. No way. I'm thinking about cutting deals and negotiations. And
Exactly.
So, that's why I think our life experiences are so important. You just never know what path it's going to take you down. And I'm happier than I've ever been doing this work. I made the choice to leave the corporate world. I was there for 15 years. I'd worked at the studios and the cable networks. And, I kind of had one foot in and one foot out of the practice that I had right now. I thought, well, I'll do a little bit of both, but that's not what the universe had in store for me, or really what my soul had in store for me.
Yeah, we like to say walking in two worlds, both the physical world and the spiritual world. And sometimes that can be, difficult to keep a balance on both. And I think what drew us together is I love, the higher education that you have, as far as we both have, degrees in business management. And then you went on to pursue a master's at Pepperdine and the University of London. which I find fascinating. I love London. Been there a few times. And, just the higher education that you were pursuing, but you don't see a lot of colleges that actually offer degrees in spirituality or metaphysics. There are a few out there, but, it's not a subject that's very much talked about. And, when you set out to get your business management degree, just like me, I didn't think that I would be doing, one, a radio show, and two, a spiritual practice where I was doing readings and consultations with other people.
That's right. And Mark, I think some of my classmates from business school look at what I'm doing now and think I've probably lost my mind. Like, what in the world is she doing?
Yeah.
But the answer is I'm doing exactly what I meant to do, what I'm passionate about, and what absolutely brings me so much joy. So I'm right where I need to be.
Well, that's kind of the secret of life, right? Is doing what you love and getting paid to do it. And, just the word, psychic, which is clear seeing. I think you and I are in a line that we're both trying to educate our clients and our listening audience about the work that we do, that it doesn't have to, we're not in a smoke-filled room with beads and a Swami hat and a crystal ball, that it's really down to earth, just trying to connect to what is unseen and use that guidance just like you would a radar system to help you with your career, your love life, to connect with those on the other side. And I truly believe in the next, 20 years that we'll really start to have science on board too. And we're already starting to see that with television shows, scientific studies, that really is showing that there is something to the higher consciousness and whatever your beliefs are in a higher power, God, Buddha, Muhammad, whatever that would be around the world. And, the word psychic actually just states, I'm just looking at the actual definition, and it just says relating or denoting faculties or phenomena that are apparently inexplicable by natural laws, especially involving telepathy or clairvoyance. And clairvoyance, again, is just a term used in Latin. It actually means clear seeing. And we've all had that experience, whether it's dreaming, a deja vu, we've just felt like there's something not right about this, whether it's a place or a person or a situation. And you and I are working together to, take some of that
shift
away.
That paradigm a little.
Yeah, exactly. So with the whistle, that does mean that it's time for another break, and we're going to be back here in a few minutes with Kim Falcon. Thanks for listening to Inspired Living, everybody.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Hey ladies, do you want to have that good hair day feeling all the time? Gentlemen, would you want your special someone to have that glow, letting you know she's feeling completely satisfied? This feeling and that glow can be yours by embracing your sexual power. So join me, Rachel Kenley, award-winning romance author, on the O-Spot. The O-Spot will guide you to that peak with guest interviews, book discussions, and conversations on the thrills of sexual empowerment. Put the zing back in your life. Come up and see me sometime on the O-Spot, live on Hump Day at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Welcome back, Inspired Listeners. You are listening to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. And before the break, we were talking about just the education that Kim has and some of the things, when you use the word psychic and how that can be kind of, woo-woo or a little bit out there. And we want to talk, take this next segment and talk about the education and the ongoing continuing education that both Kim and I have been doing in our spiritual practices and how we first met. Kim and I actually met through a professional directory called Shay Parker's Best American Psychics, and that's where Kim and I were first introduced doing the same work. And what I love about being part of Best American Psychics, or we call BAP, is it's a directory where you're tested on several occasions. So you're given a phone number and a name, and that's it. And you're tested twice. And then throughout the year, you are required to work with ethics and integrity and being in service to spirit and testimonials. And it's a directory with a lot of validations, credentials, and really bring a lot of validity to the work that we're doing, whether it's psychic or mediumship, or it's could be the tarot, it could be psychometry, it could be anything that has to do with outside of the five senses, or what we call metaphysics. So, Kim, let's talk about real quick your experience with Best American Psychics and how you came on board and why you did that.
Yeah, I did that, Mark, for that exact reason, because I was looking for some kind of professional affiliation that I could be a part of that would add credibility to the work that we do. Because when you're in the corporate world, there's all kinds of professional organizations and affiliations and ways to network and learn from other people. And I felt that was an important thing to carry on in this line of work as well, and that's what BAP provides. So we've all been tested for accuracy and also vetted for integrity, and I think integrity is very important when you do this work. There's I find a great level of responsibility. People are coming to us for guidance with real life issues that are very important. And so there's a sense of responsibility that comes with that. We're not out there telling people we do curses and we can remove things. No, we are channeling into higher levels of consciousness beings to bring about guidance and information that's going to help people on their paths. And that's what attracted me to BAP. And I'm so grateful for BAP because that's how you and I met, and that's how we're doing the show today. And in fact, we've got a really great conference, a BAP conference that is coming up in October that we're going to be attending in Asheville, North Carolina with all of our colleagues. And we're very excited about that. And we can't, continuing education, as you said, Mark, is so important. When I was getting my master's in business or whatever, I thought, oh gosh, once I'm done with this, thank goodness I'm done with school. But the learning education doesn't stop. And I know you're a big proponent of continuing education in spiritual realms, and so am I. In fact, you've got some interesting classes that you've just done and that are coming up for you, and I do too. And, I think what's going to be great is that we can take these classes and bring back what we've learned to our inspired community.
Yeah, continued growth and growing in spirit, whether it's a development group or, taking a workshop. Like I know you said that you have Tony Stockwell coming up this weekend, yes? Is that Tony Stockwell? I
do. I'm going to be Tony Stockwell. I'm going to be taking doing some work with him on trans mediumship. And then a few weeks following that, I'm going to be out in Massachusetts doing some work with Mavis Patilla, who's a very well-known spiritualist medium, doing some advanced mediumship work. So all very important. The learning doesn't stop no matter what line of work that you're in.
Exactly. And, we say that we're professional, but I truly don't like the word professional, because professional to me always, it's like a ceiling, like we've reached, like getting your doctorate in something. And, even as professionals, for our listening audience out there, we're always doing ongoing education, workshop, development groups. I've been in my own development group for 2 years. Every Wednesday we would meet and practice, our different abilities and gifts that we all have, if you choose to go down that spiritual path, that's something that you choose to do. And, we also have pushed ourselves, Kim and I, to be a part of Bob Olson's Best Psychic Directory, which was, you talked about vetting. Boy, that was quite the vetting process as far as even being, listed on Bob Olson's site, who was a former skeptic and became a afterlife researcher and was won over by, the evidence and the proof of, there is something beyond our physical life. And so we're both a part of Bob Olson's site as well, which is the Best Psychic Directory. And I think you're on there as a healer as well, aren't you, Kim? A lot of the healing work.
I am. Yeah, I'm also part of Best American Healers. That's a part of Shay Parker as well. And I do quite a lot of healing work. As you mentioned earlier, Mark, I practice both Reiki and also integrated energy therapy. And, Reiki is a Japanese-based healing modality, I think, that may be more widely known than IET. In fact, even in some hospitals, they use Reiki, and nurses can get their continuing education units by taking Reiki classes. So it's becoming more widely known. Integrated energy therapy is getting up there too. It works more specifically with the angelic realm and with the angels and empowerment energy. And it works with the different cellular memory points in the body to release any pain or trauma that we might have, limiting thoughts and beliefs, and to release that out of the energy field and those cellular memory points, and instead replace that with angelic empowerment energy. And working with the angels is always a beautiful experience. Their energy is so light and loving, but yet very powerful at the same time. And I tell people that I think that energy healing is one of the best investments you can make in yourself, because it'll give you what you need. It can help with virtually anything in life, whether it's pain and discomfort, whether it's emotional trauma, whether it is you're looking to strengthen your spiritual connection, perhaps you're embarking on a new endeavor in life and you're seeking motivation, encouragement, and inspiration. It will definitely do that. In fact, I want to share that, when I had my 1 foot in, 1 foot out in this spiritual practice, it was during an IET healing session where I was overcome with feelings and the inner knowingness that I can do whatever it is I set my mind to, including this work, and be successful and have the job that I want. I can do whatever it is I set my mind to. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty powerful thing to kind of wash over you, because a lot of people hear that, but to hear it is one thing, to really believe it is another.
Right. I always say believe it, see it, achieve it. Because a lot of folks want to see it first, and then they'll start believing it. And with this work, as far as spiritual healing, the energy work that you're talking about, we really are energetic beings. If you think about how the heart actually beats, it beats off these electrical pulses that come from, science would say they're not really sure where it comes from, but something that triggers that heart to, beat and move blood. And so we're really beings of energy. And, I just think it's fascinating with, the Reiki and the integrated energy healing that you're doing and helping people. And it really is mind over matter. There really is a lot of truth to that statement, because it all starts with our thoughts and the ability to create what we want, how we want to be healthy in life, do the things that we want to do. And, I myself do Qigong, which is, we call that the mother of Tai Chi. It's a practice, I'd say about 4,000 years old. So there's something to it. It's not a new age movement. It's something that's got a history. And it's all about just moving energy through the body, around us, through our aura. And, it can be really, healthy in what we're doing. So I love that with the spiritual healing that you're doing as well. And just being that you're on Best American Healers, you're also part of Bob Olson's healing. And, people can work with you in finding that healing modality that you offer.
Thank you so much, Mark. Yeah, I like to say that the services that, are provided through Love First really are complementary of one another. They all work together to support the individual on their path. to lead them to living a life of purpose with meaning, more joyfully, with greater ease and simplicity, all the things that make life so beautiful. And that's what these types of services do. So with readings, for example, it offers the individual a new perspective, new ways of thinking that are going to help them, that are going to help them see things from a new way, maybe a way that they weren't able to see things on their own. That's going to help them move through whatever it is they're experiencing. And then the energy healing helps to shift one's energy. And that's, when you combine these things together, new ways of thinking, new perspectives, shifting of energy, it's a very powerful combination. And then you have hypnotherapy that works to bring in new experiences by working with the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is such a powerful tool to use. It's like a big warehouse that stores information. So in hypnosis, you're giving your subconscious mind new information to work with that's going to help you. And then, of course, life coaching, although I haven't offered these services yet officially, but I will, help individuals achieve life goals. So everything kind of works together in order so that the individual can live a happier life. And again, that's what it comes down to, is being happy. We all want to be happy.
And so if we bundle up the last 45 minutes of everything that you've been talking about and put a bow on it, that's love first.
That would be love first, Mark. That's right. But, I just want to mention, you talked about hypnotherapy. So I do practice both traditional hypnotherapy and also metaphysical hypnotherapy, which is very fascinating. So traditional would be more along the lines of, people using hypnosis to stop addiction, smoking, for example, or for weight loss or achievement purposes, to get better at something. But then you've also got the metaphysical side of hypnosis. And until I started working with that, I didn't understand all the ways that hypnosis can help people. And it looks like we're going to break. So on that note, we'll finish talking about hypnosis when we come back, and stay with us. Thank you for being with us today.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids.
Looking for inspiration?
Want to be inspired?
Not sure where to go?
Find Mark and Kim every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living.
Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual.
Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the Internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Simone Milasas would like you to know that business can be fun, which is why she wrote the book, Joy of Business. What if you could have the joy of business rather than the stress and struggle? Most of the time, the only thing stopping you from a thriving business is you. In the Joy of Business book, Simone gives you access consciousness tools and pragmatic ways to get out of your own way and to create the business, life, and living you know is possible and beyond what this reality says is achievable. Business is joy. It's creation. It's generative. It can be the adventure of living. You can purchase your copy of the book through Amazon or Joy of Business website, www.accessjoyofbusiness.com.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
And welcome back. Welcome back, inspired listeners. Thank you for being with us again today. So before we went to break, I just finished my thought on hypnosis. So there's also metaphysical hypnosis, which is quite fascinating. And a lot of people don't think of using hypnosis for these purposes, but that would include things like past life regression, even hypnotic mediumship. So using hypnosis to connect through to a departed loved one. And how empowering, would that be, or is that, to be able to connect directly yourself and hear the messages for yourself without having to go through a third party. So there's hypnotic mediumship. You can connect through to your higher self and access all of the inner wisdom that's within you. So there's all different ways that you can use hypnosis, and that's the power behind working with the subconscious mind.
Which is very powerful. I've actually done that with the past life regression. When I first started, I didn't know what I really thought about it, but I tell you, I've had some fantastic experiences with past life regression and biofeedback. That's kind of where I started my spiritual journey, was biofeedback, and kind of go to your happy place and yeah, right, okay. And but again, we talked about those experiences that lead us to a more in-depth spiritual path where we're actually now doing this work in service to others and working with spirit to help heal and guide and teach and, the past life regression therapy is just fascinating to me. So, Kim, we're moving along with the radio show. It's already 10 till, if you can believe that. And so I wanted to have you talk about the positive affirmations that we're going to be doing every month and why we do it on a monthly basis, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So as we talk about living a more joyful, happy life, for a lot of us, I'd say most all of us, that would require a little bit of rewiring of our brains, right? Because along the way, we may have picked up negative thought patterns or thought patterns that don't serve us in doing that. And so affirmations, if you've perhaps never worked with them, are one way to rewire the brain. And so what Mark and I thought would be a really fun thing for us to do together as a community is to have an inspired affirmation of the month. And why do we do it by the month and not the week? Well, because there's a lot of tests out there, research that show that in order for change to come in, you need to repeat something for at least 30 days. So the inspired affirmation that we want to work with this month, and Mark and I are on the hook for this too, so we'll be saying this. We can't just tell you guys to do it and not do it ourselves. So we'll be saying these affirmations daily, on a daily basis, periodically throughout the day for the month. And we want to come together on a weekly basis and talk about some of the shifts that have occurred for us because we are rewiring our brains. So the affirmation for this month is, and I want to just add one more thing, it's also important to add emotion and feeling behind what it is you're saying. So don't just say it, but add the feeling to it, because that is the combination that really opens up the door to manifesting. All right. So let's say it 3 times together, and you can listen to me for the first time here. I am supported by the universe, and my dreams always manifest into reality. I am supported by the universe, and my dreams always manifest into reality. I am supported by the universe, and my dreams always manifest into reality. All right. So now we've triggered out to the universe to pay attention to us, because we're in the process of manifesting. So that's what happens. That's how powerful our thoughts are. It triggers the universe to pay attention to what it is we want. And in that process, we're rewiring our brain to think in those terms as well. So there we go. We're off to a great start.
Yeah, I love it. And the universe will support you. I always say that you got to put in 50% of that work, and the universe will meet you halfway and put in the other 50%. So I will be practicing this all month, and I'm looking forward to our monthly positive affirmations on inspired living. We only have a few minutes left in the show. Kim, where can folks find you?
Folks can find me at KimberlyFalcon.com or lovefirst.info. So LOVEFIRST, lovefirst.info. So come find me, come seek me out. Just say hi, drop by and say hi if anything.
And you can also find Kim over on Shay Parker's Best American Psychics and Bob Olson's Best Psychic Directory. You can find me as well on both of those directories for Mark Lainhart, or you can find me at marklainhart.com. That's MARC.LAINHART.com. And, real quick, Kim, we've been putting in a lot of hard work to get, this show up and running. I just wanted to give a special shout out to our friends, our families, our colleagues, the universe that helped open the doors for us, OMTimes Radio, working with Chris, the owner of OMTimes Radio, and, last and most importantly, Spirit, those on the other side that are still guiding us on our spiritual path, and to just take these experiences that you have on a daily basis and put them into, what a spiritual path would be for you. And who knows, you may be doing work like Kim and I are doing, and even maybe even find yourself on the radio. So, Kim, would you like to, talk about that a little bit? Give a shout out?
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. It just comes just with so much gratitude to all of those around us, our families, our friends, our colleagues, our clients. As you said, the divine, all of those in spirit that just came in today to help support us, to make this the best show that we can make it for all of us, for this community, because that's what it's about. It's a community that, comes together to share, to learn from each other, to support each other. And that's what the objective is here. So much love and gratitude. A big thank you to everybody. I just want to say too, with regard to the affirmation, hook into us on Facebook, because we'll be posting information on the show that we cover on the show. We'll be posting information on upcoming guests, and also the inspired affirmation of the month. So if you don't remember it, come to the site and write it down for yourself so that you can participate in what we're doing and creating.
Yeah, and we'll be posting that on all 4 social media sites. So again, if you found the show interesting, inspiring, educational, we'd love to have you tune in every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. You'll find Kim and myself here talking about all sorts metaphysical, the human and social experience, and everything, for spirituality. And you can also follow us on Facebook at Inspired Living Radio, Twitter at Inspired4Us, Instagram, that's also Inspired4Us, and Google Plus Communities, which is Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. And we'll be putting that positive affirmation on each and every site. We'd love to get your feedback on the show, potential guests if you're interested in being a guest on the show. We're already starting to line some people up, and, next week, I guess we're going to flip it, right? I guess I'm going to be the guest and talk about how I got to my path.
You're our guest, Mark, and I can't wait to hear your story. I can't wait for you to share your story with our audience, because Mark has a pretty fascinating background, a very diverse background
yeah.
with all the things that you're involved in and that you have been involved in some of your own family experiences that I know were pretty critical in pushing you down or inspiring you to come down this path and the work that you do today. So you've got some upcoming trips too. I mean, with classes, I know, Mark does a lot of work at the Arthur Findlay School in the UK. That's like the Harvard of mediumship, right?
Well, we'll say I don't know about Harvard. We'll say more like Hogwarts, but Hogwarts. I'm just going to be Harry Potter and head off to AFC or Arthur Findlay College in Stansted, England in October. And October is going to be a busy month because we're going to be meeting in Asheville for the Best American Psychic Conference. We're going to actually get to meet the owner of OMTimes Radio because that's where OMTimes Radio is out of, so we're excited to do that. And I have an expo this Saturday. If you find yourself in the Seattle, Washington area and you want to come out and just stop by my booth and say hi, I'm going to be at the Conscious Wellness Expo in Kent, Washington from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'll be at booth 49, and I'll be doing everything from metaphysics to psychic readings to spiritual healing to even just sitting down and saying hello and just talking about what's going on in your day. So I'd love to have you stop by and say hi. Do you have anything coming up, Kim?
Well, for the most part, I've got my workshops coming up. That's where my focus is over the next couple of months. That's going to keep me busy enough. So I'm looking forward to what I'm going to learn there, how my own, spiritual journey is going to evolve as a result of, the things that I learn and what I can share with our community too. And I just want to let our listeners know too, for anybody who's up in the Seattle area, Mark does some amazing hikes. So, check Mark's website for his upcoming hiking events, because I tell you, the pictures that you take are magnificent. So
yeah, we have a lot of fun. So there's our cue to end the show. Again, thank you for listening to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. We'll see you next Wednesday. Just remember, be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Have a great week, everybody.
And I'm Kim Falcon, reminding you to always come from a place of love.